So, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we're going to be moving ahead to our next conversation. Let's now talk about revolutionizing cybersecurity with AI. We have with us on the other side the advisor, National Cyber Defense Research Center. He's somebody who brings over 40 years of experience in IT, technology, and cybersecurity. He's somebody who serves on the Technical Advisory Council of the National Cyber Defense Research Center. He's also appointed by NSE Clearing Limited for SEBI's Standing Committee of Technology as an independent cybersecurity expert. He was also the CISO of IndusInd Bank for over 8 years and currently has been recognized for all his contribution and has served in leadership roles across various banking technology forums as well. So ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed an honor that he's amongst us here today. Let's give it up for none other than Deval Mazumdar.
Yeah, good afternoon. Just checking, Well, first of all, thanks to the organizers for not keeping this session on cybersecurity till the fag end of the day. Because unless it is a conference or a seminar on cybersecurity, invariably the session on cybersecurity comes at the end. And we always talk about, cloud first approach or AI first approach nowadays. We do speak about security first approach, but then, it's very difficult to implement. I would say that, even if we take cybersecurity at least as seriously as physical security, I think we'll be much safer in terms of digital security or cyber security. Just compare with when you enter this building, what did you face? It was a physical security, right? Because that's the physical threats and security impacts are visible, and that's why we fear most. In digital, they are not visible. The impact is felt only after it has happened. By that time, it's too late. We have about 23 minutes. I have 28 slides, but fortunately, a lot of things have already been covered by the previous speakers. So I will take that advantage of skipping it through fast. So in cybersecurity, this map depicts, how. I think I'll need to. Maybe I have to talk. Okay, I'll lean in and I'll talk like this. I think this is better. So the graphic here just displays that the attacks are coming from all over. It's even worse than physical security, where there are limits on where the sources of the attacks might be and how far they can actually attack. Okay, but in cybersecurity you never know where the source is, and the attacks are becoming very fast and very, very voluminous. So basically, we need to be prepared to actually understand those attacks as well as react in time. Now, there comes the element of the people also. No matter what technology might evolve, like AI-based cybersecurity, that's what we are going to talk about today. But then we need people to understand that technology and drive that, right? So the limitations of the traditional cybersecurity were they're mainly based on the signature based. I'm really confused right now. We have so many senior bankers and experienced people, and I might be talking about something very, very fundamental, but at the same time, we also have students, and I'm not sure about their background, to what level they have been exposed to the real world cybersecurity issues and the terminologies like SOC and SIEM and SOAR and all that. So I would request that feel free. If you have any questions, you can interrupt and you can get clarity on that, because unless you understand that term, you will not be able to understand the idea behind that. So in traditional SOC, the Security Operations Center, where organizations, throughout, I think I'll mention about a bank as an organization. There is a team who sits in the SOC. It's like a room, and you have a lot of screens and alerts. It's like a control room wherein you get a lot of alerts, and they analyze all these alerts, and then they figure out whether these are real alerts that needs further investigation, or these are false positives, or these are the normal ones which need to be whitelisted so that no future alerts of similar nature can come up. So eventually what happens is the people sitting there in the SOC, they become tired, and it has to run 24/7, because you would have noticed that these attacks happen only on Friday evening, or just on the Christmas Eve, right? Or just before the long holidays, because that's when they know that people will be more relaxed, and that's the best time to hit. So manually, if you are running a SOC operation, then there is a complete dependency of people, which is unfair. They can only do up to a certain limit. Beyond that, there will be a fatigue, and we cannot expect the same level of performance. Now, AI, while we talk about using AI for cybersecurity, even the bad actors, they have access to the AI. And while we talk about ethics and governance and frameworks and modern responsible AI, they don't have any of these rules. Right, they are free to use it to fullest to their advantage, no boundaries, and they have plenty of money through those all these different illegal channels. Whereas the organizations have very, very limited budget, very, very tightly controlled budget, very long implementation timelines. So we are slow at adopting AI-based solution also. Like for that example, any technological solution, organizations have those limitations. Whereas the bad actors, that's their business. That's their focus. They can put in any number of resources, money, and get the things done faster, much, much faster than we, the good guys, can do. So while AI can be used in defensive mode by the organizations, the bad actors also uses AI. A simple example is AI-generated phishing. Now, gone are those days when we used to say, look, identify there is a spelling mistake or there is something else, and you can easily identify those. So we should not be anymore training our users to identify a phishing mail by looking for some mistakes or some other sense of urgency. All this can be taken care by AI. The AI, like we saw in the earlier example, a use case where everybody was like deepfake except for the victim. One can easily be fooled into believing that it's so that's all output of AI that the bad guys are using. And they also adapt in real time. Like they can actually the tools have so evolved that they can actually. I'll not go into the jargons of whether it's a generative AI or agentic AI. I'll just, in a common sense, I'll just use the word AI. But they have that ability of, depending on what is the response, come up with an adaptive response and further entice you to into giving into something else. We have seen in earlier slides that AI as a general tool, it is the capability of handling a lot of data, which humanly we cannot process. So based on machine learning and based on data lakes. In fact, right from 2011, when IBM introduced Watson, that was one of the first product that used AI and ML. Right? We are talking about AI now for last 2 years. Everybody, nothing actually sells without putting the word AI, right? But then the Watson has been around since like 15 years, right? 2011 to 2000, now almost 26. So the real challenge is, how do you make use of the AI in cybersecurity effectively? So we must understand, when we have the tool in place, when we have certain capability in place, How do we adopt that? How do you put it to use so that it is beneficial? What problem does it solve? First of all, identify what problem do we have. Does AI solve its problem? Okay, when vendors approach you, you need to understand, how it is going to solve your problem rather than what that tool is capable of doing. While it is important to understand what the tool is capable of doing, because that may give some further insights into some other approaches to solving your problem. But ultimately, you need to understand the objective.
It will come.
See, we have seen this already, that AI can process tons of data which humanly you cannot do, and it can identify anomalies which typically among such large chunk of data, humans cannot identify the anomalies. So it can also help in predictive defense. We have seen in earlier sessions, so I'm just going past through that. But there is something like proactive patching. Now, how many of you understand patching, vulnerabilities and patching in technology terms, IT systems? I mean, sure you would understand. But it's like, scanning for vulnerabilities of, this is, let's say, I have 100 servers in a data center. We are supposed to periodically scan those servers for vulnerabilities. And if there is an issue, we are, based on various guidelines, standards that we follow, we are supposed to patch those vulnerabilities in certain period of time. Beyond that, we need to consider it as an open risk and treat that risk. So with AI tools, it might be easier for us to scan this automatically and prioritize, because patching it's in a live running systems, patching is difficult. We cannot take a risk on a production system, which is, let's say, a net banking system which is facing customers, and just because there is a very, very critical rated vulnerability that has been reported on that server, we immediately go and patch it. No, it will actually result in a downtime. So there are compensatory controls like web access firewall, and there are other technologies that will provide some level of protection. But then, using AI, what can be done is, create a sandbox environment, run that server in a sandbox environment, like a UAT. Manually we do it in a UAT, but that's all manual, right? So, get that image into the sandbox environment, apply the patch, and see what's the impact of that. And share the result of that with the administrators to take further action. So how much time it will take, whether it will be successful or not, whether the patch needs tweaking. The AI can go even the extent of creating or tweaking the patch to the level of the installation. So that way it can help test the patching process proactively and prevent any further downtime because of insufficient testing. So in terms of response time also, if there are AI-driven playbooks, you take quick actions. There are certain actions which are predefined. Now there is a thin line between, there's something called SOAR that will come up later, but you take actions which are predefined manually, and you take actions which are automatically taken, right? So you define playbooks for that. But using AI, those playbooks can be improvised. It can learn, it can adapt, and it can, what did work, what did not work, that can be fine-tuned further. And rather than the manual playbooks, it's a very, very slow process. And I iterate you. Every time you change a playbook, you need to go and make an update and make every team available. Another thing is the consistent. In terms of response times, you have 10 SOC analysts sitting, working at different hours, working on different alerts. How do you ensure that they all will respond consistently? Not in terms of only time, but in terms of the judgment. Okay, because ultimately it's all like human intelligence will vary, their state of mind will vary, the time of the day will vary. Okay, whether they come just before lunch, they are in a hurry to go, okay, or after the lunch, they are not in a hurry to solve the problem. And there are a lot of variables factors but with AI, you have that kind of a consistent results. It could be wrong, but then you are consistently wrong. It can be detected very fast and rectified. One single individual making a mistake is difficult to catch. But then here, if you see a pattern, then it can be detected. In banking, EFRM, I think that also I heard someone talking in the morning about the fraud risk management and identify the cases of frauds. So manually going through those transactions and finding out the outliers or anomalies, that's generally very difficult. And it also helps in, automating this also helps in prevention, not just detection, but the prevention. Like you pose a step-up authentication. If you find some anomaly, you throw a challenge question, or you give a third factor of authentication and ensure that it's still the same person, it's not the different person, right? Now, some of the practical use cases that I would say that we can have using AI is, one of the most important thing we heard in the previous also, that compliance is becoming very, very important for the organizations, for the banks these days. Even I have experienced, and I had told to my previous board when they asked what is going to be your priority for the next year. That was about 5 years ago, and I said it's the compliance, because while the security can be taken care by the tools, the compliance must be monitored and reported by the people who are managing. And ultimately, if you go by RBI, ultimately it's the board who is responsible for cyber security, okay, as per the guidelines. Now, so that means that compliance will play a very major role. Continuous compliance, point in time audits, point in time compliance checks does not really help. We all know we study very hard before the examination, and then we pass with flying colors and all that. But then the unit test really shows, whether you are consistently performing or you are performing only at the end of the year when there is a final examination. So it's like a continuous compliance monitoring, which will keep probing various systems and throwing up dashboards which are at various level, at the operational level, at the manager's level, at the board level, and provide them the posture, the real-time posture of the organization. So one important thing is, again, a use case, I will say that in any organization, there is a data center, whether it's in the cloud or it's on-premise, but there is a data center which runs multiple servers. And these servers are managed by, let's say, one team, that is, let's say, IT infrastructure team. There are changes happening in the organization. The new servers get introduced, old servers get decommissioned. Some servers get moved from UAT segment to the production live segment. Some servers change their role. Some servers IP addresses change. How do we monitor that? So again, here AI can help monitor and track this by not monitoring the inventory, but by monitoring the firewall rule changes. Because no matter what changes have been implemented by the IT team, for that to communicate over the network, they must make the relevant changes in the firewall. So if the firewall change is detected, if that is traced back to a legitimate change request or a legitimate new installation, okay, then it is considered legitimate. Otherwise, it gives, it calls for a investigation, and something can be, because it could either be intentional, which is very rare case in a normal organization, but it could be unintentional because of the lethargy. Ultimately, we are humans. It could be lethargy. Kal kar dunga main, aaj boss nahi hai, aaj I have to go live with this, but nobody is there to approve. I'll do it tomorrow. So that means you are circumventing the process. Okay, that gives rise to that habit, that okay, ये चल जाएगा तो चलो ठीक है, next time भी कर लेंगे, एक साथ सबका मैं कर लूँगा, पूरा week का कर लूँगा. So that gives rise to that kind of laxity and slippage in compliance. So that's why with various, so you need to identify what is the issue faced by your organization, different teams, while you are doing it in a controlled manner, properly, manually. But if you see some challenges, if you see some scope for improvement, then how can you do it? For example, compliance monitoring, it's certainly a challenge in all organizations. It's practically not difficult to monitor compliance level every now and then. Every quarter, we need to submit a compliance report to RBI. We need to start that email request to all the departments, let's say 2 weeks in advance. And then again, every 2 days, keep giving reminders. Then you get a set of data which is not accurate. There will be some 20% correction required. And then it has to be approved by somebody. So that actually makes it very, very difficult for manual compilation of the compliance reports and submission periodically. We spoke about, earlier we heard about the behavior analysis. Here it is like a user behavior analysis. If user is behaving in a way that is not normal, then it can raise alerts, and that could be a potential compromise of that identity, or that user is really having some intentions. Maybe having served a notice period and on the way out and taking out the data. It could be any reason that may call for further investigation. Some use case of Gen AI is like, there are so many committee meetings that come up, and every time you have a fixed format of the committee reports, only the data varies, right? So you just need to pull the data, the most recent data or the applicable periods data, and plug into that. So that way you have consistent data coming from those. There is no human error, scope for human error. And the reviewer, let's say the director, also will be able to compare very easily with the previous report. It can also, the AI tool can also generate some trending and all that. So all that, while we can do it on Excel and all that, but it all can be automated. We don't have to ask people, different teams, to actually submit fresh data, which is prone to errors. We got 4 minutes. SOAR, does everybody understand what is SOAR? Security, orchestration, automation, and response. So we had this for many years now in cybersecurity, but those were like those tools, the set of tools, they were primarily rule-based. So if this happens, orchestration is like one event, and you activate actions or initiate actions in multiple tools. Okay, automation, and response, again, what to. Let's say you want to disable something, disable a machine, disable a subnet altogether, or update that machine. So all these now, if powered by AI, then it can be handled in a much better way compared to a rule-based solution. So I'm just skipping past all these things. Again, these are like technical tools where we can integrate. It can reduce false positives, zero-day attacks. It can analyze and block quickly. Code review. Last week I heard that OpenAI has come up with a tool that can actually perform your software code review. And then the sandbox environment that I mentioned, it can take that code. If there are vulnerabilities, it can analyze that code in the sandbox environment and generate a patch, and then give that output to the developer, the coder. And they can review it. If found okay, they can actually go ahead and take an action. Blocking, see, automation brings blocking, but that is not the end state. There is something like cause and effect. For an effect to take place, there has to be some cause. So you need to find root cause. You need to understand what caused it and address that. Deepfake and all, that's a new battlefield. We already covered that. Bias and all, we already covered. Standards. So basically, while implementing AI in cybersecurity or for cybersecurity, we need to understand what is your requirement, focus on the strategy and not on the tool. And what you achieve in that is, you achieve that speed, consistency, and the scale, of course. In future, the cyber defense centers or the SOC will be more and more autonomous because they'll be more and more accurate. It will still require human oversight. Red teaming, again, I don't know whether to explain the term red teaming or not, but these are the testers, can be automated. Self-healing networks, that is going to be a major advantage of effective implementation of, see, all depends on how effectively we implement. That's why understanding the use cases and choosing the right partner is extremely important. So AI is not a replacement. We have been seeing people like losing jobs and all that, but still I would say that AI is still an augmenter to the existing stuff, particularly in cybersecurity. We can't really get rid of people because ultimately you need to take a call at your level. You define a process that can be automated, but that will be automated, but you cannot completely. Now, these are some of the things when I thought about AI, I thought of keep an eye on AI. AI is not mother, like I. Trust but verify. No ghai in AI. Be mindful and prudent. And AI is not to be considered as all-inclusive, that once you implement AI, everything is taken care. It needs human oversight. I think 1 second left. No room for questions. Or can we have?
Anybody? Question? We need new questions.
I'm asking new questions. A fantastic presentation, sir. Thank you very much. One fundamental question. You've been the CISO of a bank and you've been exposed to technologies over your experience and you have been involved in negotiating what kind of tools to buy for the bank. Now, as a decision maker, when you are exposed to technologies which can be use cases for your organization, how do you negotiate on pricing? Because the person who is buying is not necessarily an expert in that domain. And the person who's selling is an expert, obviously. So this is a dilemma which even today we all, experience. How do we handle that?
So,
as a user of technology,
on a futuristic kind of note, I can say that I can have a database full of the past pricing and all that, and I can generate this is my size and this is what I'm looking for. This is the AI tool will tell me what is your optimum price, what should be negotiating, but that is far-fetched imagination. See, it's like this. It's a very difficult, tricky question. Not all customers are also same, right? Like not all solutions are same, not all suppliers are same, not all customers are also same. The same supplier, while selling to, let's say, a 1,000 user company, they might give it at X price. But the same supplier, if they are selling it to a 1 lakh user company, they might offer heavy discounts. And they see a future potential. So it's very difficult. It's basically from a CISO point of view, to answer the question, CISO point of view, I need to get some kind of research through the industry peers and find out what is the reasonable price. Equate that with the peer solution providers. Understand what are the pros and cons of each solution. What am I losing? Okay, there'll never be two solutions which are always equal, right? And then understand what is that you really want to do, whether it meets my requirement. Okay, if you find that solution that is the only solution that meets your requirement, you might be ready to pay that little bit premium on that. And remember one thing, it's not like I used to tell this to my colleagues. It's not like you are the juice maker and the vendor is the ganna. You put that in the machine and you take it out from the other side, again fold it, again put it back. Again, you do it 3-4 times. At the end of it, that that Ganna will have no juice left, all the juice that you will have. Right. Now, how do you expect the vendor to provide you service after that when no juice is left? So that's I think that it's a subjective matter. We cannot define objectively, but these are the kind of approaches that you can take. I'm ready to pay this premium, but I want this service. This is the quality that I want. Because you have to use that tool for next maybe 4, 5, 6 years. You want that vendor to support you.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Deval ji, आपका presentation बहुत खुशी होगी. Give a big clap. As he mentioned, cyber security. Tomorrow also we have a discussion on the cyber security, and in fact, from the government of India, Director General also is coming, but he is not willing to participate. But there are 4 or 5 people are coming tomorrow. So your subject, is very, very important. So you said no, we'll get bored. Now nobody can afford to be bored on the cyber security, because it is a very much.
Now it's a matter of board.
So I wish you all the best. Well done. Yeah, please.
Thank you so much. And while Mr. Mazumdar is right here, can I invite CA Samir Sawant from CFO Club to please join us, and of course Satinder Kaur, who is a seasoned banking professional and founder of Score.co, a consulting firm focused on process optimization and service transformation, bringing in more than 40 years
Where is Samir
of
Sawant?
experience.
Nahi hai idhar? It's okay. One of the organization is called CFO Club. They are our channel partners, and almost all the chartered accountant and CFOs are connected with the CFO Club, and it is also does a lot of other program, including knowledge session. So we also, as a knowledge session, we have collaborated with them. Yes. So, madam, how did you find our Prashant's friend, Deval? So give.
And my last assignment with ICICI was fraud risk management.
Wow.
So
Correct. She is the ex-ICICI.
So with this, we just request our dignitaries to join us for the group photograph. And ladies and gentlemen, on the other side, let's get set for another incredible session.